these two sociopaths are apparently the most popular English speaking podcast in the Israeli regime. And they had this podcast that went viral because of what they said about the Palestinians. And that's true, Zach. He does look like Dracula. And so does this guy. He was referring to Matt Miller. And so they're talking about what is going on in Gaza and how the people of the Israeli regime feel about the Palestinians and what's happening in Gaza. And one of the things that I think is super telling about this clip is what it tells you about the entire society, right? Because what you hear a lot is, oh, well, it's just Netanyahu. It's only Netanyahu. And it's just the fact that, the cabinet right now is super right wing, which is true that the cabinet is super right wing. But from the polling and from everything that we see them say, it's not just Netanyahu. It's not just the right wing cabinet. It's actually the population. It's the society that they're living in. It's what they believe overall. Now, let me caveat that with, and of course, that doesn't mean every single person. Like, as we'll talk about later when we go over the Aishinor video, one of the people that was protesting with her, that volunteers for the International Solidarity Movement, is an Israeli activist. So obviously not every single person. But the problem is that it's like a large percentage of their society actually feels this way. And I think that needs to be confronted. In the same way that I had heard people for years, and it was a fair thing to say. I remember when there was this, I know, I'm sorry, guys. I say way too much, and I really need to practice not saying it, but it's like a way of when I'm pausing to think I just say but whatever. I don't even realize I'm doing it. Okay. It reminds me though of a couple years ago, there was a huge outrage or whatever on TikTok because Americans were really angry and making all these videos against Canadians and against British people, because particularly an American and a British person had made videos making fun of Americans for our problem with mass shootings and how we don't do anything about it and what it says about our society. And there was a lot of pearl clutching and a lot of outrage. And, some of the things they said, there's context. And of course, there were Americans that jumped in to be like, hey, you don't understand the context of our politics and this and that. But at the same time, I wasn't that mad. I was annoyed at some of the generalizations that they made about all Americans in the blanket statements. And yes, they don't understand the context of how we don't really control our own politics. Corporations control our politics. The Israeli regime and their lobbying arm controls our politics. Rich people and the elites control our politics. So, it's a natural kind of thing if you're an American citizen to be like, hey, that's not how we feel. If you look at the polling, we really want guns to be regulated, but we don't run our own government. And that's why this keeps happening. But the point is, I couldn't get that mad at them for being like, Americans, what's wrong with you? Because the fact of the matter is, we allow for mass shootings to happen in our country all the time, and we don't do anything about it. So I bring that up to say, I know there's going to be people who are living in the Israeli regime that'll be like, how could you say that? It's not all Israelis. It's like, okay, I'm not saying literally every person that lives there or is from there is like this. What I am saying is it is far too many. Far too many. The society that you are living in has a dehumanization problem. We're fine with the fact that we live near a concentration camp. And we set up raves and party there. And there were prisoners in this open concentration camp, and we're fine with it. And we actually think that they're animals. So yeah, that is a society problem that you guys need to deal with, that you guys need to confront, and that you guys need to talk about. It's a problem. And again, I'm not the one saying this, Playboy. This bold guy, this Voldemort guy is the one saying it, okay? This is the guy saying it. This guy's Israeli, okay? This guy is Israeli, and this guy is the one that's saying it. And again, the polling also matters. If you look at polling of the Americans overwhelmingly support popular legislation that our government doesn't support because our government's really corrupt. But, and yes, you can blame Americans for not doing more to fight against the government corruption, but the polls are the polls. The polls show there that like something like 98% of people living in the Israeli regime think that the genocide of the Palestinians isn't tough enough. They're not going far enough. Okay. So anyway, it's really dark. And the more that you learn about it and the more that you read about it and the more that you just listen to them speak, listen to their media, listen to their news channels, you start to realize that like, yeah, this is not just a Netanyahu problem. This is not just a Benny Gantz problem or a Itamar Ben-Gvir problem or Smotrich problem. This is an Israeli society problem. So anyway, let's get into it. Sorry for that rant. I just had to like make that point. And if you're not a member, first of all, for free, it is free to subscribe to my YouTube. Okay. So if you don't want to become a member or whatever, you can still subscribe. So please subscribe and hit the bell because they don't notify people when I'm going live. And I want you guys to know when I'm going live. If you can become a subscriber on the channel, or if you don't want to become a subscriber, you can also support me by sending super chats during this live or super stickers or super thanks, or join my Ko-Fi if you don't want to give money to YouTube because that supports me directly. Or you can donate to my Venmo, which also supports me directly, and YouTube doesn't take any of that money. All right. Thank you guys in advance, and I love you all. And let's get into this deranged video.
Doing it
to appease the...
It's because we're looking for international legitimacy. No one actually gives a shit. 0 people in Israel are doing it
to appease the...
It's because we're looking for international legitimacy. No.
I like how he says, because we're looking for international legitimacy, LOL. Well, you guys are doing a really good job of delegitimizing yourselves internationally. So
no one actually gives a shit. 0 people in Israel, if you go up to them and you're like, do you care if this baby in Gaza gets polio? They'll be like, I don't fucking just
yeah, if Oppenheimer would care.
Yeah, okay. There'll be like 20 people who care, and they're
wow. I saw this clip the other day. I've seen it a couple times, and it shocks me every time. It shocks the conscience every time that these 2 guys are casually sitting there and talking about. And again, I didn't say it. You said it, Playboy. You said it. That your entire country doesn't care if a baby in Gaza gets polio. You don't care. No one cares. It's just, honestly, it's shocking. It's shocking.
They're all wearing Meretz shirts. Like, fuck them.
I don't know who he's referring to there. When he says it's like 20 people and they're all wearing, I don't even know what he says, shirts.
But seriously,
they think it's funny.
They would give a shit. They'd be like, leave me alone, man. I'm trying to like buy shit for Shabbat. Like, fuck off. I don't care about this Gazan kid with polio.
Also, as long as they're in their Nakba state in their tents, you know, and we're living still, like, you know, if you put aside the news, day to day is okay. Yesterday we went to a concert.
Yeah.
Oh.
We had lots of fun, me and my girlfriend.
Nice.
Shalom Chanoch.
I just love that they just say exactly who they are. They just say exactly, just right out loud, like it ain't no thing. And you know what I realized? I realized that that it's actually very open in their media, how they feel. This open sociopathic genocide talk is really open on their social media, in their news, in their media, in Israeli media, and on their podcasts. The people who lie for them and run cover for them is the United States. The United States are the ones that censor what they say from us being able to see it. That censors us when we criticize them. That lies for them. But if you actually read or listen to them, they are not hiding it. They are not hiding it. I've watched documentaries. I've listened to their social media posts. I've seen them do lives with people on TikTok. I've watched their news channel. They are open about how they feel. It's the United States that hides that information from the population, because if you're in the United States and you see it, it's horrifying. Horrifying. Also, this is why it enrages me when people call it a war. This guy is like, yesterday we went to a concert and got whatever he said. I don't know what he said. Yesterday we did this with my girlfriend. And like, just like it ain't no thing. I saw another video today earlier of some guy talking about how great it was to be there, and the beaches are beautiful and they go partying and they go dancing and this and that. Does that sound like a war zone to you? Does that sound like a country at war? Does it? That doesn't sound like a country at war to me. Yeah, because it's not a war. It's not a war.
We danced, and it was amazing. And you can't help but think, like, it's nice to know that you're dancing in a concert while hundreds of thousands of Gazans are,
homeless,
like sitting in a tent and eating.
Makes it even better.
Yeah.
Oh my gosh,
more enjoyable.
This is just so deranged and psychotic. He literally said that it made it better, that it made life better. It made a concert better to know that there are hundreds of thousands of people in Gaza living in makeshift tents with polio, starving. It's so evil. I'm having a hard time processing it because it's so evil. I could never think that about anybody, about any group of people, even the Israelis. I could never think, even the Republicans, if in the United States, the radical left took all the crazy right-wing Republicans who I can't stand in this country and put them in a tent and were starving them and systematically genociding them, I would be horrified. I can't imagine being like, I am so glad that they're suffering in a tent. I can't imagine thinking that about anybody. Even if they're our quote-unquote enemy, even if it was Iran and we were at war with them, even if it were Afghanistan right after 9/11, like the thought of people knowing that a bunch of civilians and children are in tents suffering from a genocide that you're inflicting on them, and that makes you glad? Something is wrong with you. Something is wrong with you deeply. Something is wrong with your society that's acceptable to say there. I'm trying to think of the people that I dislike the most. I guess it would be them, the Israelis, and I can't imagine thinking that and being fine with it. Like, I want for that society to be held accountable. I want the people there to be held accountable. I don't want them starving to death in a makeshift tent, because that's psychotic and genocidal. And if you agree with that, you really need to examine why that is.
Concert. If only they...
Also, I would never be alone with these guys. Like, ever. Ever. I would not trust these guys. When people are like, you should go to Israel. Are you kidding? Like, why would I want to go there? Why would I want to go there? and be around these guys? No, 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 thanks.
If only they put the
live video
footage
feed
of Gaza. Like, but seriously, you guys like that. That's what people don't understand. Look, like,
that's the only thing that would make it better to him. That's the only thing that would make it better to him. The only thing that would make it better to him is if they were live streaming on a screen the suffering of the Palestinian people. And I don't think like most normal people see how horrifying it is. That's the reason why the veneer has come off of their society, because people around the world have seen the suffering on their screens. And I count myself among those people. Millions of people around the world. There was just a Free Palestine protest in the UK that had 1 million+ people. In the UK, okay? The UK are not known for being very welcoming and loving, accepting people. And even in the UK, where they never smile and it's never sunny, where there are literal like racist riots like a couple weeks ago, there was still, even in the UK, 1 million+ Free Palestine protest the other day. Most people around the world see the footage coming out of Gaza and they are horrified. Horrified. Correctly so. But to these guys and these people, they're like, what's the problem, Donna? Why don't we put it on the screen at our concerts? It makes sense as to why they're so confused. Like, they're so, like, if you listen to them talk, the ones who are always whining all the time, like, you hear them whining, you'll hear them be like, I don't understand why everyone hates us. It's just anti-Semitism. No, boo. The reason why people think that you're psychos is because of shit like this and the things that you guys say.
Like, but seriously, you guys like that. That's what people don't understand. Look, like, I know that you guys might be appalled by this, some of the listeners, but seriously, this is how Israelis feel. And you might think that Eitan Weinstein and Naor, who like refuses to kind of back me up on it publicly.
I'm from the UN.
Yeah, he's the UN. But you might think I'm extreme. But I have conversations with lots of people, coworkers, friends. People enjoy knowing that they are suffering.
No, also it's very prominent on Twitter.
Yes, sir. It is very prominent on Twitter. As I was saying, that's how a lot of us realized it. When you hear them say, a lot of the Israelis will cry and whine and go, it's Hamas propaganda. No, it's you, boo. You put that, as he just said, you put it on Twitter yourselves and we noticed it. Like they're mad that we noticed. They openly put their pro-genocidal tweets online and then they get upset that we notice, that people around the world notice how deranged and psychotic and genocidal they are. Like, and he just said, even the people that won't say it in public will say it in private, including somebody that's affiliated with the UN. United Nations? Are you kidding me? That is dark. Oh, I got my first super chat. Thank you, Sailor Jerry Swallow. Thank you for the super chat. I appreciate you. You're the first. Israel is a corrupt, lying occupation of colonizers. Love your show. Thank you. And thank you again for the super chat. How terrifying is it that he's openly talking about somebody who is representing the UN agreeing with him? That is dark as shit. And again, you hear them all the time be like, people don't like Israel because it's anti-Semitic Hamas propaganda. It's like, did it ever, I'm really genuinely asking that. If you're an Israeli who comes across this and sees this, did it ever occur to you that maybe it's your own words? Did it ever occur to you that maybe it's your own tweets that we saw? Did it ever occur to you that it was your own TikToks that we saw? your own videos, your own statements, your own posts, your own podcasts, your own news channels, that the documentaries, it never occurred to you that it might be you openly talking like this that made people go. Because I get accused a lot. I get accused a lot from Zionists of being brainwashed by Hamas. They always say that. And I'm like, you're just watching Hamas propaganda. Because I'm on TikTok. TikTok is where I kind of started my social media content creation journey. And they'll be like, it's because you're on TikTok, you're brainwashed by Hamas. And I'm like, it never occurred to any of you that what I saw that horrified me was you talking. The way you conduct yourself. Your genocidal TikToks that you put online as if it's hilarious. And I guess it makes sense now because it is hilarious to your people. Your people think that it's hilarious and they love that the Palestinians are suffering and that you guys are treating them inhumanely. When I see that, from my purview of the United States, I think, oh my gosh, this is monstrous. This is evil. This looks like shit I saw when I watched Schindler's List as a kid. This looks like the things that I saw when I saw The Pianist. This looks like stuff that I read about the Holocaust. And you guys think it's funny? Yeah, you might want to, I don't know. This is what I'm going to say. To anybody who's Israeli that might see this, maybe you should look inward. Maybe it's not about Hamas. Maybe it's not about propaganda being supposedly done with their, I don't know, their PR team. Maybe it's not social media. Maybe it's you. There was another poll that recently came out that said that like an overwhelming majority of Israelis favored hiding and not showing what's happening on social media. And that was like the least surprising poll I've ever seen. I'm like, of course you guys don't want us to see what's on social media because people are horrified. Like no one has been a bigger enemy to you than you. And the stuff you put on social media, which apparently you kind of understand, you kind of know, is deranged and genocidal. And because of that, people are turning against you because of your actions and your posts that you're so proud of. Because you and all your buddies, they all agree. You guys think it's funny. And then you're shocked that everybody's turning against you. But again, you know that somewhere. That's why you guys want to ban it from being seen on social media. You want to hide it from social media. You don't want people to see what you guys are really up to. Because that's inconvenient. Wait, is there a troll in here? Is there a troll in here, guys? Yeah, I know, man, with the long last name. You would think that since their whole shtick is we need to be secure, we need to defend ourselves, we have a right to exist, you would think that they would be a little smarter about their propaganda efforts, that they would be a little smarter about the way that they speak in public. Like, it's not 2000 anymore. People can see everything on the internet. That's true, Hatem. They do it because they know that they have complete immunity and they can act with impunity and they're not going to be held accountable. They know that. But I'm saying from a PR perspective, it's been disastrous. Disastrous. You'd think they'd be a little bit smarter. So then they got a lot of backlash, and I want to get their embarrassing statement. Hold on. Bro, it's so dark. This would be a perfect post for the I ain't reading all that Free Palestine meme. Who can reply? That's amazing. It's the first one. I like how Kyle Kalinske said, that's a lot of words to say your critics are 100% right. True. I love that that's the first response. Oh my gosh. LOL. LOL. I kicked myself out. Did they also say... Yeah, where is that one, Hatem? I thought that was there. Didn't they also say that if they had a... Where is that one? I thought that was in the video, but I guess it's not. Hold on. Let me see if I can find it. Oh, here it is. Yeah, let's watch this one too.
Living being in Gaza. If you gave me a button to just erase Gaza, every single living being in Gaza would no longer be living tomorrow, I would press it in a second. That's just, I think most Israelis,
if that's the choice. Yeah.
Mm-hmm. No, even if it's not like right now.
Yeah, no.
I would press it.
I like how the guy, it's like this guy kind of realizes how psychotic and genocidal that sounds. And so he goes like, if that were the choice. And then the other guy, the bald guy goes, no. Like he's trying to help him. He's trying to kind of dig him out of the hole. And then he's like, no, doubling down. I do want a Holocaust in Gaza. No, I meant what I said. That's literally what he does.
I would press it right now.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, same with the territories.
Give me that button.
Same with the territory.
There you go.
And I think most Israelis would.
Yeah. Most Jewish Israelis.
They wouldn't post, they wouldn't talk about it like I am.
Mm-hmm.
They wouldn't post, they wouldn't say I pressed it, but they would press it, right? Like if they were in a closet alone, they wouldn't even hesitate.
Mm-hmm.
Someone came to them and said, no one will know. You press this, all the Palestinians are gone. You'd be like,
all evil.
Hey, is there another one? If you gave me a button to just erase Gaza, every single...
That's so dark. Oh my gosh, it is so dark. He says it all like evil too. I'm probably an older than most folks here that said, not out, but I lived through the Iraq and Afghanistan and Syria. Genuinely, the difference is we can see footage of abuse and the trauma. Yeah. I would also say, though, that what is happening in Gaza is worse. That doesn't mean that I am downplaying the horrors of what we did, our United States military did in Afghanistan and in Syria and in Iraq. Not at all. It was horrifying. I saw the photos come out recently of the family that was massacred in, I forget what it was called. It was called the something massacre, but it recently was finally reported on. The photos were finally released after like 20 years. I think it was called like Haditha something, maybe the Haditha massacre. And they're horrific. But, which sounds like I'm excusing him by going, but I don't think that it's the same. What I think is happening in Gaza is uniquely horrific because the Palestinians are trapped, like absolutely trapped. They have absolutely no way to defend themselves. This is not, they don't have an army. They don't have an airport. They don't have a navy. They're not allowed to leave. They can't get food. They're blockaded. They're forced to be in tents. They don't have sanitation. And then on top of that, they have the United States funding and supporting the military occupier that is genociding them. And they have absolutely no way to escape and no way to defend themselves. That was not the case in Iraq or Afghanistan or Syria. This is also the United States, despite all the bombs that it dropped, never dropped bombs that were like, they never dropped as big of bombs in Afghanistan as they have in Gaza. And when we talk about Afghanistan, Iraq, and Syria, we're talking about a whole country. They're doing this to the Gaza Strip, a little tiny piece of land, that is the size of the Las Vegas Strip. Yeah, also, as somebody just pointed out, over half of the people in Gaza are children. I don't feel like, and it's messed up anyway, because like I feel like we shouldn't be like, comparing these horrible things that have happened to people. Like we shouldn't be like doing like atrocity Olympics. But I just don't, the reason why that I think that it's important to understand the severity of what's happening in Gaza is because I don't think people grasp how bad it is. Like how bad it is. And the fact that they have no way to escape. That they are trapped in a concentration camp. Yeah, so let's read this statement. Yeah, but obviously what the United States did was disgusting and horrifying. We should have never been there in the first place. We should have never stayed in Afghanistan. We should have never gone into Iraq. It was based on lies, and there was no one in Iraq anyway. Like there were no weapons of mass destruction. The whole thing was a lie. Even the U.S.'s worst critics never claimed that the U.S. was committing genocide in Iraq or Afghanistan. Yeah, exactly. The U.S. never carpet bombed Kabul or Baghdad. Yeah, exactly. That's what I'm saying. It's like, guys, what I'm just trying to say is that it's not about like trying to do like atrocity Olympics. It's for I want people to understand the severity of what's happening in the Gaza Strip and how insane it is. It doesn't mean that the U.S. was not horrible for what we did in Iraq and Afghanistan. It was horrific. I just want people to understand that you have Afghanistan as a country, and even the country we never carpet bombed Kabul or Baghdad. The Gaza Strip is a tiny ass little strip that is blockaded from all ends, a concentration camp in which the people have no way to escape, and they're carpet bombing it nonstop and have been for 10 months. Like, that's insane. That's insane. And yeah, of course, there was outrage about the Afghanistan and the Iraq war, but I don't think that, of course, it goes without saying that we didn't have the technology that we do now. It's definitely true that the reason why people feel the way they feel about Gaza is because we can see it. I never said that Obama didn't drop bombs on civilians in Afghanistan. I never said he didn't. Sometimes I said they did, and it was horrible, and it was horrific, and they committed war crimes. Sometimes I wonder when people respond to me like that like they're not actually listening to what I'm saying. This happens on my TikTok videos, my Instagram videos too, where like people will respond with something having absolutely nothing to do with what I said. And I'm like, are you listening or are you just talking? Like, anyway, let's read these ghouls' statement. There's quite a bit of chatter going on about some comments made on the podcast recently, and we want to properly address that. Firstly, the video circulating was taken out of context. Okay, that's always everybody's favorite excuse. It was taken out of context. But like, what's the context? Like, yeah, sure, there are some things that are taken out of context when it comes to the media, but you can't always use that excuse. You can't always use that excuse, especially since what context would make that acceptable? What context would make that acceptable? Tell me. Firstly, the video circulating was taken out of context. In the original recording, we made it very clear that we did not call for the genocide of the Palestinians. We were making a larger point about the fact that most Jewish Israelis do not care about the costs in civilian casualties on the Palestinian side required in order to secure the Jewish homeland. Why are you admitting that out loud? Why are you admitting that out loud? You're literally saying that you guys don't care how many Palestinians have to be slaughtered so long as you can take the rest of their shit. Are you okay? No, you're not okay. No, you definitely are not okay. In the original, I said that. We made it clear we were not calling for genocide. Okay, but you were though. But you were. You don't need to call for genocide when it's already happening. The genocide is already happening. And you're saying you think it's based. So, yeah, no. Within that context, we entertained a hypothetical situation that would rid Israel of the imminent threat posed by our Palestinian enemies who overwhelmingly support Hamas and wish to kill us all, and would gladly go for another October 7th the moment they get their chance. Obviously, that hypothetical button doesn't exist. Okay. A few things here. We entertained a hypothetical situation that to rid Israel of the immense threat posed by our Palestinian enemies who overwhelmingly support Hamas. So he's saying all of them. Yeah. So what he's saying is, every Palestinian man, woman, and child is our enemy. That's what he's saying. Because remember, he said if we could have a button that would erase all of Gaza, if we could have a button to erase all the Palestinians, we would. That's what he said. So what you're saying is you believe that all Palestinians, man, women, children, grandparents, disabled folks, they are all Hamas, and they are all worthy of being annihilated. Where have I heard that before? Sounds like something out of Mein Kampf. And wish to kill us all. They always do that because they're projecting what they want to do. I literally have never heard any Palestinian say that they wanted to kill everybody in Israel. Never heard that anyone say that. But anytime you hear them talk, the Palestinians, they're talking about defending themselves and their desire and need for liberation and to get their land. And defending themselves from the onslaughts of the Israeli regime. They never say that they want to kill all the Israelis. They never say that. But the reason why the Israelis say it is because they're projecting what they want to do onto the Palestinians, and it also gives them a great excuse to constantly occupy them. It's a great excuse. Well, sorry, guys, we have to occupy them because if we don't, they'll kill us. You guys, we have to occupy them. We have to occupy them. We have to genocide them because if we don't, they'll do it to us. That's what they're saying. They're saying, no, guys, we have to do this to them because if we don't do it to them, they'll do it to us. It's just projection. Also, another thing, so it's not even true. It's not even true that all Palestinians just hate them because they hate them. It's not even true. It's like I just said, it's projection. But even if they did, I really want to know why you expect them to like you. I want to know why you would expect them to like you. I don't expect anybody, as we kind of were talking about earlier, about the wars and the occupation of Afghanistan and the proxy war we were kind of going covertly doing in Syria. I would completely understand, and I do completely understand why anybody from Iraq or Syria or Afghanistan would hate us. Totally get it. Why wouldn't they hate us? We destroyed their countries. We bombed civilians. We dropped drones on them. Pretty sure I remember there was a story that when Obama was in office, a drone was dropped on a wedding. We did the Haditha massacre. I totally understand why they would hate us. I totally understand why anybody in Palestine would hate us because we give aid and cover and financial support to the Israeli regime. So why don't you understand, two nice Jewish boys, why don't you understand why the Palestinians might not like you? Maybe they don't like you because you're always killing them. Maybe they don't like you because you're doing a genocide. Maybe they don't like you because you treat them worse than you treat animals. Maybe they don't like you because you keep stealing their shit. Maybe they don't like you because you keep lying. You victimize them over and over and over again, and then you turn around and you say that they're the bad guys and you make yourselves victims. So you not only dehumanize them, you then villainize them in their death. Maybe that's why they don't like you. I don't know. I just don't get why you wouldn't know why someone wouldn't like you if you treated them that way. I'm not happy that I'm sure there are a lot of people in Afghanistan and Iraq and Syria that think that the United States is the great Satan and hates us. But I understand. It's weird that you don't understand that. when having more when having to consider how to deal with the Palestinians in reality. Again, dehumanizing language. Why do you have to deal with the Palestinians in reality? Why do you have to deal with them? Things are more complex and nuanced, but that doesn't change the fact that when on the scale are our lives at safety or the lives of our enemies. In this scenario, most Israelis do not care about the costs and civilian casualties as long as the main objective is achieved, eliminating the threat for good. Again, this is so delusional. It's such a lie. Because that's not the question. That's not the ultimatum. That's not the scenario. Because you guys are not under threat. You are not under threat. That's not the scenario. Like, it's just insane. Like, this is delusion. This delusion that that doesn't change the fact that when our lives and our safety, your lives and your safety are not at risk. You guys are fine. It's not at risk. Or the lives of our enemies. And by enemies, they mean Palestinian babies. That's what they mean. Our lives and safety are at risk, which it's not. Or the lives of our enemies, the Palestinian babies and children living in those tent camps. Most Israelis don't care about the cost and civilian casualties. Which, again, that's also a lie because that's really not what he said. He didn't just say, when it comes to our safety and our lives, we obviously are going to care more about ours than we do about theirs. That's not what he said. They said they love it. He said they love it. I don't mean to overuse the word, but it's also, yeah, it is. It is. It's psychotic. And also, like, he's lying because they did not say, oh, well, you know, the thing is that people in, you know, Afghanistan or whatever, Afghanistan, we were talking about people in Gaza, you know, people in Israel, we obviously care more about our own families and our own children. So we don't want to see anybody get hurt or civilian casualties. But if it's us or them, we're obviously going to pick us. Like, that's not what he's making it seem like that's what he said there. That's not what he said. He said they love it. They celebrate it. They wish they could project it onto concerts, during concerts, that they think it's based. And when they hear about all the atrocities, it makes them happy. That is a whole different level of sociopathy and psychopathy and sociopathy. What everyone who's losing it seems to forget is that less than a year ago, oh great, here we go with October 7th and but Hamas. No, I like how he goes, everyone who's losing it. Did you think that people were supposed to take that lightly? You think that everybody was supposed to take that lightly and be fine with that? That video was deranged. That video was one of the most horrifying things I've ever seen, and I watch right-wing media all the time. Like, when I say horrifying videos, I don't mean like videos that I've seen of what's happening in Gaza. Obviously, those are much more horrifying. I'm talking about from a political commentary perspective. That video is more horrifying than almost anything I've seen from a political commentary perspective or on a podcast. And that is coming from somebody who watches a lot of right-wing media, and they say some deranged shit on right-wing media. I've never even heard that. That is like the most psychotic thing I've ever heard on a podcast. Hey, Ashura, just to throw it out there, or to remind everybody, I'm non-binary. My pronouns are they, them. And if you missed it, if you're new when you came in, like, not new, thank you, by the way, Ashura, for being a member. We're talking about the Two Nice Jewish Boys podcast, where they are laughing and talking about how based it is that all these horrible things are happening to the Palestinians. They got backlash from that because obviously, as they should have, it's deranged. And so we're reading their statement now. Well, everybody seems to be losing it. It's like, again, you're not getting it. You're just not getting it. Less than a year ago, thousands of Palestinians invaded Israel and raped. No. Okay. Don't make me tap the sign. We already talked about I have other videos on this. If you guys go back earlier in my YouTube, I did a very, very, very long video about their mass rape and atrocity propaganda hoaxes and how it's there's absolutely no evidence for it. The UN did a report for it. Israeli media did reports on it. There's literally zero evidence for it, but they continue to repeat it. It's recently, the most recent iteration of this was one of their propagandists on X came out. She actually is like a full-time propagandist for the Israeli regime, came out and put a fake suicide letter because she wanted to bring credibility to the mass rape hoax and the fake allegations. So she put out a fake suicide letter claiming that an anonymous person who was supposedly witness to those atrocities committed suicide. And then it came out like a day later that it was made up. It was a fake letter. No one ever said that. The reason why they keep saying that is because they want to justify the actual sexual assault and sexual violence that they have been committing against the Palestinians for decades and in their prisons. I thought this was plugged in. That they've been doing for decades and that they have been doing to the Palestinians in the Israeli prisons. In fact, there was recently a news story in which one of the rapists from those Palestinian detainee jails went on TV and was like bragging about it. They're treating him as a celebrity. They were treating him as a celebrity. So, yeah, that is one of the other lies that they keep telling, that they keep perpetuating as a way to excuse their genocide. And they just keep saying it over and over again. It's like their beheaded babies hoax. They had this like team called like Zaka that were just a bunch of propagandists and liars come in to do investigative work and then just like made all this shit up. And then everybody in the US media laundered it. And the Zionist psychopaths, Dana Bash and Tapper Jake laundered it. And then Joe Biden laundered it and Kamala Harris continues to launder it. It's like, it's literally already been debunked. And the most amazing part of it is that it was already debunked in Israeli media. Like, it was the Israeli media that first debunked that, and that first talked about the Hannibal Directive. The Hannibal Directive, in which the Israeli government killed a bunch of their own citizens on October 7th with Apache helicopters. But they continue to repeat the lies, even though it's already been debunked over and over again. Their ultimate goal was to conquer large parts of Israel and kill everyone. Nope, that wasn't their ultimate goal. Their goal, as stated in their own statements and interviews afterwards, was to get their hostages back. Because for those of you who don't know, the Israeli regime hold approximately 10,000 Palestinians hostage in detention jails with no charge and no trial. The only reason they failed to do is because of our brave soldiers. Oh, you mean the soldiers that took hours to respond? You mean them? They took hours to respond. Okay. Cops and civilians who fought heroically and sacrificed their lives. They can't be here together. We owe it to them and everyone. And we mean everything so that this imminent threat from Gaza will never show its ugly face again. Yeah, except for the fact that, again, it's not an imminent threat, actually. Like, not even close. It's not an imminent threat. It's not a threat at all. You have all the security in the world. You have Iron Dome, thanks to my tax dollars and every other American's tax dollars. Your soldiers are cowards. They were too busy terrorizing Palestinians in the occupied West Bank, and that's why they took so long to respond. And they're also incompetent morons, because why didn't they keep you safe? Why? Why? They knew. Netanyahu knew it was coming. Netanyahu knew it was coming. It had been flagged to the upper echelons of the Mossad and IOF, and they knew that it was. Why didn't they stop it? Why didn't they do more to protect their citizens? But again, it was reported really not that long after that the Israeli regime had targeted their own citizens in the kibbutzim and also at the Nova Festival, which makes sense when you look at the footage, because they didn't have, Hamas was not capable. They didn't have those weapons. They didn't have Apache helicopters. But even though that was reported pretty early on in Israeli media, I'm pretty sure Haaretz did a report on it pretty early, like 10 months ago. It only recently came out in the US that it was confirmed, which again speaks to the way that we protect them here. Because if you look at Israeli media, they actually talk about this kind of stuff a lot more openly and report on it more than the United States is willing to do. Since Hamas have proven time and time again that their support of, since Gazans have proven time and time again that their support for Hamas is indisputable, it's obvious to any Israeli that the only way to guarantee our future and safety here is to remove this threat from our vicinity forever. Okay, so you're admitting that you want to do ethnic cleansing. Because remember how they denied that? They kept saying, oh, we're not trying to do ethnic cleansing. We're not trying to do ethnic cleansing. We're not doing a genocide. You're literally admitting it. You're saying, because people in Gaza support the resistance, we need to eliminate them forever. That's literally ethnic cleansing. That's literally genocide. Honestly, I've stopped caring about that stuff. Fresh potato. I know they're effective, but I just don't care anymore. Oh, I'm not sure what you're referring to, Kai, because the first I only see, or mostly see because they go by really fast, member comments and comments from super chats. So I assume the person you're responding to is not a member, and that's why I don't know what they're saying. I've stopped caring about that stuff. What stuff were you referring to? Yeah. So this is psychotic. This is literally genocidal. Him admitting out loud, like literally admitting in a statement, since Gazans support the resistance, it's obvious that the only way to guarantee our future is to remove them forever. Remove them forever. Like it ain't no thing, just out loud. Now let's go over some data to support our claims. Are you kidding me? In a poll conducted by Jiva amongst Jewish Israelis in Israel in January 2024, 87% of them said that they are for the complete annihilation of Hamas. You could just take out Hamas and put Palestinians, because that's what they mean. Any continuation of the war until we obtain complete control over Gaza. Wait a second. I thought you guys didn't want to take Gaza back. I thought you guys didn't want to occupy Gaza anymore. I thought you didn't want to completely put a siege over it. You know what I love? He thinks that these claims don't make them look bad. Like he's like, guys, Here's some supportive information. The retaliation from the Hezbollah. Oh, okay. No, but what I love is Israel has broken the world. I love how they think that he goes on there and he's like, guys, I want you to know that what I'm saying is true. Here's the evidence to support my claims, and then like shows all these polls, and it's like, thank you for doing that, because I don't think you know how bad that makes you look. Like, do you think that showing these polls as your supporting evidence makes you guys look good? That makes you look like monsters. You're literally telling us in polling what monsters you are. You're literally telling us via polling what monsters you are. Sweet potato smoothies are better than banana strawberry. Okay. But like, for real though, you're literally telling us via polling what monsters you are. Thank you for giving me this data. Thank you. I appreciate it. Thank you for giving us this data, you guys. 87% of them said that they are for the complete annihilation and the continuation of the genocide in Gaza until you maintain or obtain complete control over it. In another poll by Mano Jiva, who's Israeli's top pollster, by the way, this time from 11/18/23 is what they mean. I think they do their dates different than us. 44% of the population were for Jewish settling in Gaza, as opposed to 39% who were against it. So almost half want to build illegal settlements in Gaza. It's also worth noting that many of the victims of October 7th share our sentiments. This is a member of Kibbutz Be'eri saying, I will come back to Be'eri only after the very last Palestinian in Gaza is dead. Oh, okay. Okay. And then you're asking us why they don't like you? And then you're asking us why they don't like you. You're openly saying that you don't want to come back until every last Palestinian has been murdered. And then you want to know why they don't like you. And this is Mia Shem, who was held hostage by Hamas. She says there are no innocent civilians in Gaza. They're all Hamas. It's also worth noting, first of all, again, deranged, genocidal. It's also worth noting that Mia Shem is French, and that she's also a settler, and that she said herself when she first got out that they treated her really, really well, as did so many of the hostages when they first got released, that they were treated really, really well. But the ones who say that, they don't let them speak in public. In fact, it was an Israeli that actually first said that she saw the Israeli military killing other Israelis on October 7th. And you can find that on Twitter, but they never play it. They'll never play it anywhere else. That she was saying that. An Israeli citizen was saying that. So, yeah, the ex-hostages or whatever will come out and say that like they were treated well, but those ones don't get interviewed. They don't want them talking to the press. And they lie about saying that it was, things happened that didn't. Remember how a couple weeks ago that Noah, I'm forgetting her last name, Noah something, hostage who got out, they lied and said that they cut her hair and that they beat her. And then she had to put out on Instagram that they were lying and that she was never beaten and her hair was never cut. And in fact, the only time she was injured was by Israeli bombardment, crushing the house that she was being held in. Noah Argamani, that was her name. Also, if you say there are no innocent civilians in Gaza, they're all Hamas, you're genocidal. So, yeah. To conclude, the video clip circulating was taken out of context. The fact that most Israelis think the threat posed by Gaza and Gazans must be rooted out by any means necessary. Any means necessary, huh? Almost like a final solution is beyond a doubt. People from Gaza, the PA, and all around the world who support Hamas are actively seeking to kill us and destroy us in the only Jewish state. And if you want to kill us, we will rise and kill you first. We pray for our brave soldiers and wish the complete annihilation of the enemy and a safe return of all hostages. Israel Chai. Oh my gosh, that saying is so like hilarious. Israel Chai. Psychotic. Absolutely psychotic. Absolutely psychotic. Thank you for putting out a statement to clarify it. Just to confirm that everything everybody's saying about you is true. No addition. Yeah, no Argamani. Yeah. Yeah. Absolutely deranged, absolutely genocidal, confirming the truth of and the accuracy of what everybody accused you guys of. It's so deranged. Am Israel Chud. Wow. That's just so crazy. Hamas. Bro, the way they say it it's amazing. Oh my gosh. It's just crazy. All right, well, I'm glad we got through that in a decent amount of time because I wanted to get to the other story. The reason why they say Hamas like that is because they're trying to make them sound scary, is my theory. I've been saying this for months. I think that they do it because a lot of them are American. Like they're Americans that move over there and claim birthright. And they say it, I think, like that because they think it makes it sound more like terroristy. Terroristy, like scary Muslims, scary terrorist brown people, Hamas. That's my theory.